It lay motionless in the Gobi Desert, patiently waiting to carry out an assassination mission. But when the target finally appeared in his sights, he didn't immediately fire. Though his spotter constantly urged him, he let the target calmly get into a pickup truck and drive away. The person disappeared. That wasn't the target, so he let him go. Faced with Dugan's strictness and principles, the spotter could only watch helplessly. They had ambushed under the scorching sun, waiting for 6 hours. Dehydration severely depleted his strength. He just wanted to find any suitable target and finish the mission. Kill someone at random and report it to be done. But Dugan refused to act without certainty. Another 6 hours passed. From a distance, 2 pickup trucks appeared in their sight. The spotter immediately focused, expertly reporting the distance and wind direction to Dugan. Soon the target appeared in the scope. This time Dugan didn't hesitate for a second. A precise shot to the forehead. The guards at the base couldn't have imagined that their leader's killer was 400 meters away. Mission accomplished cleanly, Dugan quickly got into the pickup truck sent to pick him up, silently withdrawing from enemy territory. As the best sniper in the British Special Forces, Dugan's name was known by almost everyone in the military. He was a member of a secret Special Forces unit, specializing in raids, arrests, and assassinations. Their main targets were high-ranking Taliban leaders. Thanks to seamless coordination with his spotter, Ghazi, Dugan eliminated one target after another. They thought their lives would always be for their country, fighting until their lives would always be for their country, fighting until their last breath. But then one day, a mysterious man with dark glasses and a suspicious beard appeared, and his appearance led Dugan down a different path. A whole new life awaited him. For excellently completing the assassination mission, Dugan and Ghazi were specially allowed by their captain to visit a seaside bar near the barracks to enjoy a few rare days of short, relaxing leave. As they clinked their beer glasses excitedly praising each other, the bearded man next to them unexpectedly bumped into them. "Oh, sorry. Calm down, Ghazi." To show good faith, the bearded man immediately offered to buy them around. At first, they thought it was an accidental bump, but in reality, he approached them with a clear purpose. After gaining their trust, the bearded man immediately revealed his true intention. He said, "You guys kill people every day in the military anyway. Why not use those skills to earn some extra money?" Coincidentally, his friend wanted to deal with a rival. And if they agreed to do it, the other side was willing to pay a reward, 20,000 British pounds each. "My friend is a very important person. There will be no risks." Dugan seemed hesitant. The man didn't rush him for a decision, he just gently said, "Think about it." In fact, Dugan had some reservations. After all, killing outside the military was illegal and could lead to long-term imprisonment. But unfortunately, both were dirt poor, and the offer was truly a bargain hard to refuse. 2 days later in Turkey, a mafia boss was just getting out of his car with bodyguards by his side when a cold bullet hit his forehead. That's right, the shooter this time was Dugan, working a side job. After completing the mission cleanly, they called an Uber and calmly left the scene as if nothing had happened. The bearded man showered praise on their performance, immediately paying the full promised amount. He knew shooters like them were rare and hard to find, so he offered a long-term cooperation. The compensation this time was even more generous than before. He even promised to cover all travel expenses and necessary equipment. Dugan and Ghazi felt tempted, but they kept a clear head and refused. Because both still had 3 years of military service, if they left their unit without permission, they wouldn't earn a penny and would be hunted by military police everywhere. "Alright, if you change your mind, you know where to find me. Thank you." However, before leaving, Dugan still looked back thoughtfully, as if signaling that this story was far from over. Immediately after returning to the barracks, they immediately received a new mission. This time, the goal was to capture a Taliban field commander alive. The captain received intelligence that today the commander would come down from the mountain to attend a relative's wedding. Since the mission required capturing him alive, the captain only deployed snipers for distant support. The Special Forces team directly approached the wedding venue, hoping to persuade the enemy to hand over the person through negotiation. Initially, under pressure from heavy British weaponry, the guards tried to stay calm to negotiate. But at that moment, Ghazi suddenly spotted a sniper on the opposite hillside aiming directly. His teammates' lives were hanging by a thread. Dugan immediately turned his rifle without hesitation. He immediately aimed directly at that sniper. A shot was fired without hesitation. A gunshot rang out like a stone thrown into a pond, stirring everything up. The situation quickly spiraled out of control. The armed men grabbed Enrique from the corner. Trek didn't hesitate either. They immediately fired wildly at the target. Had Walter's gone crazy again. In their frenzy, they forgot that inside were only innocent civilians. Thick concrete walls were shattered into pieces. When the captain finally ordered a ceasefire, all that remained before them were blood-soaked bodies lying scattered. At this moment, from a distance, Dugan was horrified to realize that it was actually just a wedding. He immediately grabbed his sniper rifle and frantically ran towards his teammates. But ahead, they had no intention of stopping. After throwing a grenade, they stormed into the house, beginning a sweep. The last two survivors at the wedding were also coldly shot down one by one. It's over. This is it. This should have been a simple capture mission, but now it had turned into an unforgivable massacre of civilians. To conceal their uncontrolled actions, the team leader immediately decided to turn this place into a fake terrorist base. He falsely reported to headquarters that his team had been overwhelmed by enemy fire, requesting an airstrike to level everything at the scene. Witnessing such cruel and inhumane killing, Dugan's ideals began to crumble. But now there was no time to hesitate, because the missile from headquarters would arrive in just 5 minutes. He quickly jumped into the pickup truck to retreat. Retreating with his teammates to a hill, a kilometer away from the scene, they waited for the final airstrike. A precise missile struck, right at the position marked by the smoke grenade. The crimes their teammates committed were wiped clean, leaving no trace. The entire team let out hollow laughs as if relieved of a burden. None of them showed regret for massacring innocent civilians. Only Dugan and Ghazi were pensive, frowning, unable to stomach what they had just witnessed. Wiped clean, only chaotic rubble remained. The next day, the team set out on a new mission. Suddenly, Dugan, with his keen eyes, stopped the convoy. He spotted a small, suspicious mound ahead on the right, not far away. "Eyed, let me check. Something's wrong. It doesn't look normal." Explosive devices like this were common in Afghanistan. Immediately, the entire team took up positions with their weapons, on high alert after confirming no enemy ambush nearby. Dugan volunteered took up positions with their weapons, on high alert. After confirming no enemy ambush nearby, Dugan volunteered to handle the situation. He decided to take Ghazi to check the mound. Ghazi was utterly surprised. Bomb disposal isn't fun, he thought. Why drag me along to die with him? But Dugan didn't bother to answer his grumbling. He just silently took the metal detector and carefully advanced step by step. The closer he got to the mound, the stronger the detector's signal became. Dugan didn't dare to be complacent. He immediately took a screwdriver from his pocket and began probing the ground. "What the hell are you doing, you crazy fool?" Ghazi yelled when he saw him right at the edge of the mound. The whole team held their breath, their hearts pounded. Just then, Dugan finally saw clearly. A metallic glint flashed on the mound. It was just a child's tricycle. The whole team felt a huge weight lifted, muttered curses, and prepared to get back into their vehicles to continue their journey. But when called, Dugan remained motionless. Instead, he silently pulled a phone from his pocket. A deafening explosion echoed. At the same time, elsewhere in the world, a top assassin, codenamed Wild Wolf, had just appeared. Before each operation, this assassin always thoroughly learned a new language using a repeater. He studied every sound and word very seriously to ensure that when disguised as someone, not only the appearance and demeanor matched, but even the voice had no flaws. Afterwards, he carefully made a final check, comparing his face and the personating perfectly. Then he slowly walked like a tired old man into an office high-rise. Sure enough, the receptionating perfectly. Then he slowly walked like a tired old man into an office high-rise. Sure enough, the receptionist security guard greeted him as usual. He didn't turn his head, only replying softly in the German he had just learned. But just as he was about to leave, the guard curiously asked about his new backpack. His steps immediately faltered because this question wasn't in his training. Is everything still okay? Fortunately, his acting skills were top-notch. He immediately pretended to be aloof and silently entered the elevator. Afterwards, by impersonating a cleaner, he easily bypassed the facial recognition system. Soon, he reached the top floor of the building. At this moment, his target was in the office, loudly scolding a female employee. The assassin glanced at him, then quietly pushed his cleaning cart into an office across the hall. After closing the window blinds, he turned the vacuum cleaner to its loudest setting. Then he pulled a pistol from his backpack and skillfully attached the silencer. Before he could act, a female employee unexpectedly walked in. He planned to pretend nothing happened and continue cleaning as initially planned. But just then, the security guard heard the noise and approached. Out of options, the assassin had to act and reveal himself. Unexpectedly, the target ran like a rabbit, darting straight into the emergency stairs. He stood at the top of the stairs, calmly aimed, and shot the target in the calf. As the second shot prepared to finish him, the target panicked, covering his head and begging for his life. Surprisingly, the seemingly fatal bullet only lodged into the wall near his head. When the man recovered, the assassin had vanished without a trace. Meanwhile, multiple police cars were rushing to the building. He threw a few smoke grenades, then quickly put on his escape rope and jumped from the high-rise. In less than half a minute, he had vanished completely into the thick smoke below. Back at the hotel, the assassin immediately removed his facial disguise. His true handsome, cold face was revealed, but he remained vigilant as the real assassination mission had just begun. Aaliyah's attempted assassination and serious injury quickly made front pages everywhere. Mr. Manfred was immediately heavily escorted by a convoy to the hospital to visit his son. Sirting, Mr. Manfred walked. He wiped his brow, handled work, and asked his private assistant about his son's injuries. but he couldn't have known this would be his last day alive. Meanwhile, in a nearby hotel, Lo Ai-hong was calmly removing a window pane. He then inserted a small anemometer into the gap to precisely measure the current wind speed. Next, he calmly opened his suitcase, taking out parts and meticulously reassembling them. Surprisingly, from that suitcase, he assembled a sniper rifle with a high-grade scope. 4 special bullets for this mission were hidden in the suitcase. With a high-grade scope, Bobosins were hidden into, according to Zo Ai-hong's plan. Only the last bullet was for Manfred. For a professional sniper, precise rifle calibration before acting is crucial. Although the area around the hospital was now packed with press and civilians, Zo Ai-hong still attached the night vision and silencer to the rifle. He then slightly adjusted the scope and calmly test-fired the rifle above the crowd below. The distance to the target this time was 300 meters. The first bullet flew for 6 seconds, reaching a distant wall. But the bullet hole was over 10 cm off-center. Zo Ai-hong was not satisfied. He immediately loaded a second round, carefully fine-tuning the bullet's trajectory. The second bullet hit dead center with absolute precision. Everything was ready. Wong slowly rotated the rifle barrel, waiting for his target to emerge. Meanwhile, Mr. Manfred's convoy was entering the hospital grounds. The convoy stopped at the hospital grounds. The convoy stopped at the hospital gate to ensure the Prime Minister candidate's safety. The head of the security team personally exited the car. He instructed the guards to get Manfred inside within 10 seconds at all costs, but he didn't know all those efforts were in vain. The candidate he worked hard to protect was easily taken down by a single shot to the head. The security chief immediately took out high-powered binoculars, looking at the opposite building for the sniper. Surprisingly, Zo Ai-hong did not retreat immediately. Instead, he deliberately stood still for 3 more seconds. He waited until the chief spotted him, then began disassembling the rifle. In no time, the sniper rifle transformed back into a suitcase as if nothing had happened. Before leaving, he placed a time bomb under the bed. When Kiesi exited through the emergency escape, he thoughtfully activated the fire alarm to cause chaos. The hotel was 4 kilometers from the hospital. Zo Ai-hong drove around 3 major street corners. He then passed a convoy of police cars rushing with sirens. A disdainful smile played on his lips. He then quickly went to the parking lot to change cars. Meanwhile, special forces had surrounded the entire hotel. But as they breached Zo Ai-hong's room, a terrifying explosion awaited them. Simultaneously, the old Mercedes in the parking lot also violently exploded. Traces related to the Prime Minister candidate's assassination were wiped clean. Though the mission was complete, Zo Ai-hong did not leave Germany immediately. Instead, he dressed elegantly and confidently walked into a private museum. He then spent a large sum buying an antique chess set made from rare ivory. Only then did he leisurely drive towards the German border. Due to the Prime Minister candidate's assassination, all border crossings were strictly sealed. Despite tightened security at all crossings, Zo Ai-hong remained unusually calm. He calmly opened a suitcase, allowing border police to thoroughly inspect it. They could never have imagined that ordinary-looking suitcase was actually a perfect killing weapon. When asked about his reason for entering Germany, Zo Ai-hong offered a polite smile. He calmly picked up his newly bought chess set and leisurely introduced it. "This is the Kalani chess set made from pre-ban ivory. These pieces are extremely rare." His smooth reply and impeccable demeanor allowed him to cross the border easily without suspicion. Thus, Zo Ai-hong successfully left Germany. The next day, in a completely different outfit, Zo Ai-hong appeared in Cadiz Bay. Spain. He now looked like a successful businessman. Before exiting the car, he carefully hid his pistol in a briefcase. In the eyes of his beautiful wife waiting at home, her wealthy husband was always an exemplary, content businessman. He had revealed to his wife and children that he was actually a professional assassin. But that day, an unexpected incident forced him to face the biggest challenge of his life. The assassination mission in Germany still had an outstanding payment. As soon as he arrived home, Zo Ai-hong immediately accessed the web to press the client for payment. Joong immediately accessed the web to press the 50,000 euros. With substantial 307,50,000 euros. His son's first birthday, only days away, he had planned to get the final payment, then pause all operations for a long-desired family vacation. But after a long, tense wait, the only thing he received was an international greeting. Seeing 2 big, red, provocative words on screen, Zo Ai-hong felt insulted to his core. Hundreds of ways to deal with the deadbeat client immediately came to mind. This was the first time someone withheld his payment. The more he thought, the angrier he grew. He immediately logged into his bank account to trace the initial deposit. But strangely, even the bank manager couldn't trace the transferer's true identity. All they knew was that the company was based in Munich, Germany. Zhou Maihong frowned immediately. That was the city where he had assassinated the German prime minister. Despite knowing the high risk of exposure, he decided to return to Germany in a new disguise. He immediately went to a private bank vault, took out a fake passport, then drove across the border straight to Munich. At the local bank, he disguised himself as a distant British businessman. Citing a business partnership, he requested to trace the transferer's businessman. Here he finally traced it to a small, nameless, unknown company. Zhou Maihong continued to trace deeper, following the ownership and the parent company behind it. Layer after layer of overlapping information eventually led to a trust company. He stayed up all night reading all information on the company's website. He then saw a photo from their year-end party with a familiar face. It was none other than the Prime Minister's son, the one he had shot in the leg. Realizing this was the person who hired him for the assassination, a bold idea flashed in Zhou Maihong's mind. He quickly found the date of the Prime Minister's funeral. On that exact day, Zhou Maihong appeared in an outfit identical to Alia's private driver. He wore a uniform identical to the real driver. He appeared in the parking lot, opened the trunk. "Don't shoot." The driver, terrified, immediately obeyed and crawled into the trunk as Zhou Maihong requested. He tried to beg for his life, but a second later, Zhou Maihong gently took the driver's seat. Soon after, he picked up Alia's plan. Wang gently and rounded a corner. He suddenly drew his gun and shot the security officer in the passenger seat. He immediately drifted sharply, separating from the escort convoy. Seeing the car's unusual turn, the security chief immediately pursued it fiercely. Ilia was now in extreme panic. He trembled, trying to open the car door to escape, but the door was locked. He could only call the security chief for help. Zhou Maihong in the front didn't stop him. He only focused on speeding wildly through the streets. Zhou Maihong in the front didn't stop him. He only focused on speeding wildly through the streets. And with superb driving skills, he sped straight through construction scaffolding, completely shaking off the pursuing cars. When the car stopped in a secluded alley, Zhou Maihong finally had time for a casual chat with the client who withheld his payment. "Do you know who I am?" Ilia finally composed himself, recognizing the identity of the man in front of him. He immediately raised both hands, explaining in a panic, "I was shot in the leg, so I lost control. I was furious, that's why I didn't pay." He then promised Zhou Maihong double the money for his father's assassination if he spared him. But at this moment, money was no longer their issue. Go die. After settling the score, Zhou Maihong immediately got out, changing into a prepared outfit. Then he activated the preset homemade bomb, silently vanishing into the alley's darkness. When the security chief arrived at the scene, only a massive heat wave billowed up to greet him. What Alia least expected was that before dying, he confessed to hiring someone to assassinate his father, and the security chief on the other end heard everything. The next day, Ilia's scandal of hiring a hitman to kill his father immediately made headlines. Meanwhile, the top assassin had just left Spain for personal matters, discovering his beloved home had suddenly turned into hell. The secret room he hid in his office was accidentally found by his wife and her family, who broke in. Inside that secret room were not only currencies from various countries and countless fake passports, but also head molds used for making human masks. Through his phone's hidden camera, Zhou Maihong saw his wife and her family's terrified faces. He instantly knew his assassin identity could no longer be hidden. Fearing his wife would leave him, he spent the entire drive thinking how to explain everything. While lost in thought, he crashed directly into a truck ahead. "Look what happened to my car. Damn it, I've used up all the bad luck in the world." Zhou Maihong quickly got out, apologized politely, and tried to offer money to resolve it. But as fate would have it, the truck driver was hot-headed. He not only refused the money but furiously cursed him. "Another fancy BMEO's thigh. Do you think a little money makes you great? Idiot." As tensions rose, Halang suddenly saw a police car pass. He just hoped they wouldn't notice. But as fate would have it, the truck driver immediately turned and frantically waved at the police car. Pulling them over instantly, Zhou Maihong tried to stay calm. He took fake documents from his car, cooperating with police for an administrative check. But seeing he was a foreigner who rented a car from Munich, police became suspicious. Just yesterday, the German Prime Minister's son was shot dead on a Munich police. Became suspicious. Just yesterday, the German Prime Minister's son was shot dead on a main street in Munich. They immediately asked Zhou Maihong to open the trunk and began thoroughly checking his luggage, and what no one expected happened. So despite trying his best to avoid trouble, what Zhou Maihong feared most throughout his life still happened. He silently wiped fingerprints off the gun, then put it into both the officer's and driver's hands, staging the scene as a double fatal shootout. He then sped off in the BMI, disappearing without a trace. At a deserted parking lot, he removed the plates, then sprayed corrosive acid into every corner inside the car, erasing all personal traces. into every corner. Such actions were routine for him. What bothered him most was how to keep his wife at home. To provide a plausible explanation, So Wai Hong invited his wife to his hotel, where he stayed for work. There, he confessed he had lied to her but lacked courage to admit he was an assassin. He only said he worked as a commercial spy for a multinational corporation. Though he sometimes used fake identities for illegal acts, he swore he never killed anyone. But even that half-truth made his wife turn pale. And Wai Hong quickly reassured her that after his last mission, he'd earn enough to retire. Then, their family of 3 would live together forever, starting a truly happy, peaceful life. Please trust me. After consoling his confused wife, Wai Hong officially added early retirement to his schedule. He was confident because he had just received a large contract. The target was none other than Sarkly, the planet's richest billionaire. A global tech mogul, he lived almost isolated on his private island. He was always surrounded by the world's most isolated on his private island. He was always surrounded by the world's most elite security, protecting him 24/7. This was a mission of hellish difficulty. Due to its unique nature, Wai Hong rarely met clients directly to discuss. Upon meeting, he immediately quoted $1 billion, demanding half be paid up front. No, 50% upfront is impossible, but I can transfer you $20 million as a startup fee. $20 million is not small. Wai Hong thought a moment, then nodded in agreement. After receiving the advance, he went to an abandoned Hungazi to find his mechanic to build specialized weapons. The target would leave his highly guarded island in 2 weeks for a new product launch in Tallinn, Estonia's capital. There, Sarkly would present on stage, which was Wai Hong's golden opportunity. After scouting the scene, he realized the theater's security was extremely strict. All audience members underwent rigorous security checks. If he had a wallet, audience members underwent rigorous security checks. If he had a wallet with a metal zipper, the metal detector would immediately blare an alarm. This proved bringing a real gun inside was almost impossible. But for Wai Hong, known for limitless creativity, this was just a minor challenge. He designed special equipment that looked completely unsuspicious. And you truly are a genius. So Wai Hong requested all sniper rifle components be hidden inside a leg cast. All were made of special plastic and super light alloy. This way he could pretend to be injured and smoothly pass security. However, the mechanic warned this material only made a single-use barrel, limiting shots. But with my skill, 7 shots are nothing. That's enough. Can I ask for a suppressor? Those screening staff won't know the difference. The mechanic certainly didn't disappoint him. In a short time, using 3D printing, he completed the perfect equipment. In a short time, excited about his new toys, Hong decided to immediately go to the suburbs for testing. He didn't know that for killing the German Prime Minister in a prior mission, a brave female British agent of color was now desperately hunting him. And finally, she traced a lead from the mechanic. They had now pinpointed Wai Hong's secret hideout in Hungazi. An armed team was en route to arrest him. Meanwhile, the world-class assassin had just bought a perfectly round honey-sweet watermelon. But he didn't eat it. Instead, he drove straight to a deserted forest outside the city. There, he painted a bright smile on the watermelon, then hung it on a tree branch. He then retreated nearly 100 meters, holding the new plastic gun through a fixed rope, twisting it a few more times. A simple shooting stand was ready. Wai Hong aimed carefully and pulled the trigger. The first shot was not promising. Wai Hong skillfully took out a screwdriver, adjusting some parameters. After 3 more shots, bullets consistently hit the bullseye. But with his cautious nature, he wasn't satisfied. He decided to use a real bullet for a final test. After aiming carefully and pulling the trigger, the watermelon immediately exploded. Only then was he satisfied. He got into his car, driving back to prepare his next plan. Halfway there, he noticed something wrong with the Audi ahead. Wai Hong immediately floored the accelerator to overtake, then pulled into a cafe to secretly observe. Sure enough, a few minutes later, the suspicious Audi turned around and drove past again. Inside the car were secret agents from British intelligence, May 6. This time they came to apprehend the mechanic who built weapons for Wai Hong. Their goal was to capture him and interrogate him to track Wai Hong. After stopping at the mechanic's farm gate, agents immediately ordered all power cut. Seeing that, Wai Hong immediately sensed imminent danger. He immediately called the mechanic in the workshop, but unfortunately, at that crucial moment, the mechanic was fast asleep, unaware. The phone rang for 2.5 minutes before he groggily answered. By then, the entire team of agents had stormed the building. Upon hearing the bad news, the mechanic immediately became fully alert. He rushed to erase all data, frantically choosing a weapon for self-defense. But with his injured, almost crippled arm, he fumbled for a long time, finally grabbing a small caliber pistol. Just then, agents had surrounded all entrances. Escaping unscathed was now impossible. The mechanic could only risk his life, deciding to go all in, charging out to confront the agents. "Go, you bastards! Attack!" After a furious burst, the mechanic emptied his first magazine, frantically reloading. But at that moment, the female agent of color seized the opportunity, firing a shot that forced him to expose himself. The agent immediately lunged like an arrow, tackling him to the ground. In just a few short minutes, the opponent was mercilessly captured alive. The mechanic struggled at first, denying everything. "I don't know any Wild Wolf." Before he finished speaking, the female agent found a backpack on the sofa. Seeing clothes and equipment not belonging to the mechanic, she instantly beamed. Wild Wolf was definitely here, right? Realizing he might return, the female agent changed plans. She decided to ambush him at the factory. While waiting, she taunted the mechanic. She hoped to get more information on Wild Wolf. While waiting, she told him unexpectedly, Wild Wolf had been watching everything from afar. His special sniper rifle could only fire 8 shots before breaking. He decided against a useless fight. Instead, he chose to retreat quickly. Agents at the main gate spotted him. "I see him near the horses." Unable to get a car, he mounted a white horse. He galloped straight through the agent's gunfire. Agents chased relentlessly in cars. His white horse clearly couldn't outrun them. Wild Wolf had to turn sharply into a small forest to lose them. He used the dense forest to lose them. He used the dense forest to escape. Unexpectedly, a branch knocked him off his horse. Seeing this, the female agent of color led her team out of the car to pursue him. As the team cautiously approached, a bullet from Wild Wolf flew at them. Luckily, her female teammate wore a bulletproof vest. She was only slightly injured. Wasting another precious bullet, Wild Wolf had to flee again. But the female agent used her weapon advantage. She closed in from behind, forcing him to keep moving. Wild Wolf ran until cornered at a cliff edge. He then jumped down without hesitation. Determined, the female agent kept firing bullets into the water below. Luckily, the bullets lost their power in the water. Wild Wolf finally escaped. The female agent saw the calm water. She was so furious, her blood pressure felt explosive. But that setback wouldn't derail Wild Wolf's assassination plan. Soon after, he appeared in disguise at the Grand Theater in Tallinn, Estonia. He wore special custom-made boots from the mechanic. Disassemble and reassemble them, they become an assassin's sniper rifle. Bullets were hidden in a secret phone-like compartment. Before security, he put the disguised phone in a tray. Any security found nothing suspicious. Wild Wolf sat quietly like an ordinary audience member. Mid-show, he pretended to leave. He slipped backstage, pried open a staff door, and went straight to the theater's top floor. There, he crawled into a ventilation shaft above the main auditorium. This was the ideal position he had researched and chosen. Arriving a day early for the ambush, he stayed in this cramped space for 24 hours. He slowly removed his special boots. He reassembled them into a complete sniper rifle and placed it beside him. He then quietly waited for the assassination. When the concert ended, the auditorium went dark. Wild Wolf drowsily fell asleep from exhaustion. Sometime later, he startled awake. Security began patrolling the ceiling. Below, armed police and K9 units entered the auditorium for inspection. Wild Wolf knew the target would appear soon. Outside, the theater was strictly sealed. All guests passed through the most modern full-body scanners. The machines could even detect what they ate for breakfast. What annoyed Wild Wolf most was a sworn enemy. The female agent of color was also there. She personally led the search team. They did a final check inside and out. But like other security, she never detected Wild Wolf hiding below her. The large door above slammed shut. Wild Wolf sighed with relief. He began preparing for the final battle. Hiding so long in the cramped space, his body stiffened. He did warm-up exercises and ate chocolate for energy. He used an empty plastic bottle for excess water. He was now absolutely ready for this assassination. When the host stepped on stage, Wild Wolf left the vent. He unexpectedly found a guard on the upper floor. Without hesitation, he approached and silently cut his throat. He moved to his chosen firing position. The strong stage lights made him almost invisible from below. From his high position, Wild Wolf clearly saw everything on stage. The billionaire's bodyguards were well prepared. They had optimal defense. Thick bulletproof glass surrounded the billionaire's area. Wild Wolf held his breath, focused, and waited for his chance. The moment the target showed his head, he would fire. The precious chance finally appeared. As he prepared to act, an incident occurred. A foolish guard at the stage edge suddenly fired wildly. Wild Wolf's entire plan was instantly ruined. Bodyguards immediately surrounded the billionaire and was rapidly withdrawn from the stage. Wild Wolf knew his only assassination chance was gone. The mission failed. Just then, the female agent of color realized there were 2 gunmen in the hall. She immediately ordered all exits sealed. The hall plunged into chaos. Panicked audience members ignored orders. They stampeded towards the exits. This chaos allowed Wild Wolf to blend in and escape smoothly. But what awaited him was far more brutal. After the forced encounter, the female agent hired a sketch artist. They reconstructed Wild Wolf's face. She released the photo to all media. In Spain, his wife and brother-in-law stared at the TV. They looked at the familiar face with suspicion. Wild Wolf wore a special cinematic camera rig. He creatively mounted his sniper rifle onto it like a camera. He planned to use this rig for his most difficult assassination yet. From a small boat, he would aim at a target 4,000 meters away. His target rarely left his private island. It was the most strictly guarded island in the world. An elite security team patrolled 24/7 within a 2-mile radius. Even the farmer supplying vegetables underwent rigorous full-body checks before boarding his boat. An assassin like Wild Wolf had almost no chance to act on the island. After careful observation, he found the target swam in the sea each morning. A bold idea instantly sparked in his mind. He conceived an unprecedented, insane assassination plan. Pretending to film nightingales, Wild Wolf rented a small boat. He approached the island's waters. He quickly killed the boat owner. Then he began preparations for the sea assassination. The sea was unlike land. Even a small ripple could seriously deflect a bullet. To research solutions, he chose a powerful, specialized mechanical stabilization system. As usual, he carried only 4 bullets. After assembling his equipment, he loaded the first bullet without hesitation. Then, brazenly before a nearby patrol, he openly tested the bullet's trajectory. He aimed at a spot and pulled the trigger. Seconds later, the bullet flew precisely to its target. The test results were better than expected. As he waited for the target, a drone suddenly appeared overhead. The billionaire's bodyguards were extending their island patrol zone. Sensing trouble, Wild Wolf reacted instantly. A pair's bodyguards were extending their island patrol zone. Sensing trouble, Wild Wolf reopened his testation. And he covered his sniper rifle with his jacket, then set up a fishing rod, pretending to fish. Sure enough, his boat appeared on surveillance seconds later. Whose boat is that? It's the old man's. Luckily, the boat was a regular visitor. It was anchored just outside the 2-mile zone. The security chief didn't order them away. He told his subordinates to monitor them closely. Soon after, the billionaire in high spirits walked with his bodyguards to his private pier. He prepared to swim. Wild Wolf immediately entered combat readiness. He quickly dressed, then loaded the second bullet. But as he stabilized and locked onto the target, a speedboat suddenly sped past. Approaching waves made the sea around the island rough. His small boat was violently tossed. The golden moment to fire slipped away. As he stabilized and prepared to fire again, the billionaire jumped into the water, disappearing from his scope. Meanwhile, in the central control room, security noticed Wild Wolf's boat was unusually still. They immediately sent a jet ski to investigate. Wild Wolf had to change direction. A decisive shot killed the approaching guard. The Wild Wolf had just as he loaded the third bullet, the drone flew closer again. Luckily, he was prepared. He immediately pulled out a jamming device to block the control signal. The drone lost control and fell straight into the sea, but the security chief clearly confirmed there was a sniper on the boat. Red alert, there's a gunman on the boat. He immediately signaled the ocean side, shouting for the billionaire to absolutely not surface. But the billionaire was still disoriented, not yet understanding. A bodyguard grabbed him, forcefully pushing his head underwater. The target was lost, but Wild Wolf didn't panic. Calmly began counting 1, 2. He knew very well that even the best free diver in the world couldn't stay underwater indefinitely without surfacing for air. That moment was approaching. Wild Wolf silently calculated the target's breath-holding limit, then fired without hesitation. Sure enough, seconds later, the billionaire and a bodyguard surfaced simultaneously. The bodyguard was hit. Unfortunately, he happened to be blocking the front. He accidentally took the fatal shot for his boss. Realizing immediate danger, the billionaire quickly took a deep breath. He then dived down, urgently swimming toward shore. But Wild Wolf, with nerves of steel, remained chillingly calm. He loaded the final bullet. He quietly watched the water, holding his breath, preparing to count again. Soon the familiar image reappeared in his scope. He confidently squeezed the trigger, firing the last shot. The target was hit. The bullet lodged directly in the billionaire's cervical spine. Not even a deity could save him. Thus, Wild Wolf had successfully completed the world's most difficult assassination mission. Immediately after, he quickly turned his boat and sped away. He left only waves behind, like a declaration of victory remained. Like a declaration in escaping pursuit, Wild Wolf immediately went to the airport. He used a fake passport to check in for his flight. Then he quickly stopped at an internet cafe to collect his final payment. Since it was a massive sum, $80 million, Wild Wolf worried about complications. He repeatedly emphasized the transfer must happen within 24 hours. Only then did he feel relieved, shedding the burden. That evening, he hastily flew back to Spain. Stepping out of the airport, he carried no luggage. A sniper rifle, which had been with him for years, was left permanently on the airport baggage carousel. This time, he was truly determined to retire, to return to being a husband and father. But life is not a dream. Reality is often crueler than we imagine. At this moment, the person who directly facilitated Wild Wolf's deal immediately contacted the client for payment. Unfortunately, she was just an intermediary working for ruthless magnates. After confirming the target's elimination, those sly foxes not only refused to pay Wild Wolf, but also wanted to cut the intermediary's commission. It ordered the female secretary to stall her. Then they immediately sent assassins to eliminate the go-between. But the intermediary was no pushover. She immediately sensed a conspiracy behind the clients, so she quietly appeared in the hotel lobby to observe the situation. Once her suspicions were confirmed, she silently left the hotel without a sound. Meanwhile, Wild Wolf, after a long, exhausting day of various events, finally arrived at his beachfront villa in Spain. But as he stepped inside, he found his wife and child weren't home. Panicked, he found his wife and child weren't home. Panicked, he frantically searched the entire house for clues. It wasn't until he saw that over half the cash in the secret room was gone that Wild Wolf realized his wife, knowing his assassin identity, had fled with their child. Before he could even process this shock, he unexpectedly received a call from the female intermediary. She got straight to the point. "You're living in Spain, right? Wait, what do you mean? They think you're there. They're coming for you." She immediately hung up, then threw her phone and quickly left. Hearing the news, Wild Wolf froze. He had just discovered his family left and hadn't yet recovered. Just as now he realized all his efforts, all his sacrifices not only weren't paid, but the very people who hired him were now hunting him. He couldn't understand. Why was it so hard to quit? However, in the current situation, Wild Wolf had no time for sadness or regret. He immediately gathered the remaining cash, passports, and weapons from the secret room. He prepared to leave this troublesome place as soon as possible. At the same time, Agent Ramal, sent by the boss, quietly climbed the wall with her team. They stealthily infiltrated Wild Wolf's villa grounds. Ironically, at that exact moment, his drunken brother-in-law stumbled home. Hearing strange noises at the door, he drew the gun he carried. The light immediately flickered on. "Stand still or I'll shoot." The gunshot downstairs immediately startled Wild Wolf awake. He realized the enemy had found him. Without hesitation, he immediately pulled the villa's main power switch. Then he quietly closed the mirror in the secret room. This was a one-way mirror he had designed himself. From inside, he could clearly see everything outside, but from outside, one would only see a normal mirror. Sure enough, Agent Ramal cautiously approached the mirror soon after. She meticulously examined every detail but found nothing unusual. They stood still, facing each other through the glass, but then she quickly turned and left the room. From inside the mirror, Wild Wolf had clearly seen his pursuer's every move. His gaze was fixed on this tenacious woman. Once she left the upper floor, Wild Wolf immediately launched his counterattack. "Get down!" Unfortunately, the agent's brave teammate shielded her with his body. In extreme rage, Agent Ramal immediately raised her gun, unleashing a hail of bullets. Only after emptying her clip did she realize Wild Wolf had vanished from the upper floor. In the now quiet villa, only her heavy breathing remained. Even a slight shift in her footsteps echoed with an unnerving creak. Agent Rama was on edge. She rambled incessantly, hoping to force her hidden prey to reveal himself. "Why did you do it, Dugan? What about you?" "Because I like to win." "Me too." She intended to use the conversation to slowly approach Wild Wolf. She didn't realize he had silently appeared right behind her. This didn't have to end this way, but it did. The woman who relentlessly pursued him throughout the film finally paid for her stubbornness. But even after eliminating the greatest threat, Wild Wolf couldn't rest easy. The most important thing now was to find his vanished wife and child. But no matter how many times he called, he couldn't soften his wife's cold heart. She even threw her phone into an airport trash can, just to avoid being found by her husband. "Please don't do this, honey." As a ruthless assassin, always cruel in his work, this was the first time Wild Wolf felt so helpless and bewildered. Just as he was about to collapse, a car suddenly sped toward him and struck him directly. Months later, Wild Wolf reappeared on the streets of Benghazi, his body not fully recovered. He teamed up with the now disguised female intermediary. They formed a strategic alliance as victims of the same deceitful client. They certainly couldn't swallow this debt. The woman handed Wild Wolf a newspaper. Prominently on the front page was a photo of the boss, the man behind everything. Unable to retire as he wished, Wild Wolf had no choice but to continue on his path of revenge.